What is going on, everyone? My name is Andy. Welcome back to another FPL video, and today it's the Game Week 21 team selection preview series. Obviously, this big block of fixtures we've had over Christmas and New Year is nearly ended, but we have got one more quick turnaround to get through. So the deadline is in a couple of days, so make sure your team is sorted. I'm going to take you back through how I did in Game Week 20, and then obviously look ahead to Game Week 21, transfers, captaincy, that kind of thing. I've got 2 free transfers to use, and obviously a Liverpool double game week to think about as well. So plenty to talk about. Before we jump into that, I did want to say that this video has kindly been sponsored by OneFootball once again. There's loads of games coming on New Year's Day, so make sure you download this app. It's completely free. Get all your team news, lineup news, and live scores throughout the day. So if you're out and about on New Year's Day, maybe celebrating with family and stuff, then you'll still get the live scores through on your phone. You won't have to keep checking for all the results that are coming in. And like I said, the best thing is it's completely free. There's a link in the description below, or just search OneFootball on Android, iOS stores. Give it a go, see what you think. So here's how I did in Game Week 20. I'm not gonna lie, it's another super frustrating week. So I know the game week obviously doesn't end on Saturday, but a lot of people were frustrated. I had Danny Ings came through again. I had Rashford captain. He got that 95th minute goal, which was such a high when I was watching the game. Obviously, wanted Man United to win anyway. Saw James on the break, was shouting pass to Rashford. He did. Rashford tried his best to mess it up, and in the end ended up slide tackling the ball into the net. So I was feeling pretty good, especially when Mane started as well. I had De Bruyne 2 to come. Obviously, Aurier's own goal, super frustrating. I mean, what can you do about that? He was part of my hit to bring in to get rid of Trent Alexander-Arnold, to get in Son for his red card. Now Aurier's got an own goal. I mean, that was one of the worst transfers I'll probably do ever, let alone this season. But I was feeling pretty good going into Sunday. But I think because Vardy missed out, a lot of people had De Bruyne and Mane as vice captain, so they came through. So I was on like a 100k green arrow on Saturday. And like I said, I know the game week doesn't end on a Saturday, but then I had a red arrow by the end of Sunday, even though I had De Bruyne and Mane, who were the big scorers from that game. I know no Liverpool defence didn't help, but 59 points, which I thought was okay this week, given the amount of kind of players that missed out. Ali I kept in the end. I didn't get Martial. I decided to keep him, risk that he started. He started and blanked, which is super annoying, especially now because Martial has risen 0.2 million. I may still want to bring him in as well, and he went and got points in the game against Burnley. So all in all, it's another frustrating week. 59 points was a red arrow. Now, it was a small one, don't get me wrong, but still annoying. 580k down to 592k, 1,103 total points. So whether or not we'll ever get back into the top 500k, let alone the top 100k, I'm getting a bit panicky at this point. But I think the team's still looking pretty good, and I think it did all right this week. Obviously, you know, Ali and Lundstrom was a move that I looked at for Martial and Trent Alexander-Arnold. I had the exact money to do it. It would have been a hit. And I thought, you've taken too many hits recently that have gone wrong, and that one would have gone right. And I think that's the problem now, is I'm kind of being a bit too indecisive, because if one way doesn't work, then I stop doing it, even though the next time, you know, you've got to reassess your decisions going forward. So it was frustrating. Like I said, 59 points wasn't too bad given how the week went. I had most of the big hitters that scored well, but it wasn't enough for a green arrow. I'm still just inside the top 600k, which is awful. Let's see if we can get it improved. Okay, so Game Week 21 got 2 free transfers, 1 million in the bank, 102.5 million squad value. Looking at the defence, so Nick Pope obviously, again, didn't do anything last week, but it's a good fixture this week, Aston Villa at home, so not really one that I want to sell him for. Of course, Aston Villa haven't been doing too great recently. I mean, Grealish has been all right, but nothing against Watford, and I think there's a good chance of a clean sheet for Burnley, so definitely not looking at taking him out this week. A few people that own Pope I know I've seen talking about getting Fabianski, and obviously West Ham got a double game week. It's a pretty tough double game week as things go. I think they play Leicester and Liverpool, but obviously goalkeepers can rack up save points. Obviously we know what Fabianski is all about. So he is one that I will look at. Obviously I need a bit of money to upgrade him. Money's quite tight at the moment, and also the fixtures aren't fantastic before and after the double game week, so I don't know if I really want him long term, but obviously we know he's a quality keeper. David Moyes is in now. Will he improve the West Ham team? There's a lot to think about there, so I can see why people are doing it, but not for me this week. I think Aston Villa at home is definitely a keep. Aurelier has obviously been frustrating. Spurs just not keeping clean sheets. He's not someone I'm too attached to, but I think I probably will keep him this week for Southampton, even though I've obviously got Danny Ings and I'm fully expecting him to score. So going to be expecting or hoping for attacking returns from Aurier. And given that it's Liverpool next week, potentially I'll get rid of him, because I might bring in a Liverpool defender this week. And I was going to get rid of Lundstrom, so I'll have to wait and see what the injury is all about. And although I'm not playing Lundstram next week in Game Week 21, in Game Week 22 he does have West Ham at home, whereas Aurier has Liverpool to play. So I might not even play Aurier at all next week, in which case he might be dispensable this week instead of Lundstram. But I have to keep an eye on what the injury news is there. Soyuncu, I think he got rested last week along with virtually every Leicester first teamer. So that looks really good for a result there against Newcastle away. So really happy to have him. Kelly against Norwich. I think Norwich have actually looked pretty good recently. I've watched them a couple of times. Against Spurs they were decent, against Wolves as well. And they're two tough games as well. Thought they did really well. So I'm not fully expecting a clean sheet from Kelly. But I think he's a better option than Rico this week. And Crystal Palace have not conceded many goals away from home. Yes, they conceded against Southampton, but just a single goal. So if they can keep Norwich out, obviously Kelly will be a decent pick there. And Lundstram's got Liverpool, so I'm just not going to play him. So I think the team is looking okay for this week. And I'm okay-ish with having Aurier for Southampton. But given how the fixtures are going to fall, and that I might want to play Lundstram in Game Week 22, if I do bring in a Liverpool defender this week, it may well be Aurier that goes instead of Lundstram. So midfield, and every time I think about getting rid of De Bruyne or even mention it or talk about it, even if I'm not going to do it straight away, he goes and gets a haul. Another 14 points this week. And who's saying he won't do it again against Everton? Obviously under Ancelotti now, so I'm not expecting them to get absolutely battered, but you'd expect City to do well in that game. Now, the fixtures are pretty good for City right now, so I'm not looking to get rid of De Bruyne, but I have toyed with the idea of going double Liverpool attack instead of defence. I think most people are probably going to go the defence route, although I can't say for sure. So the attacking route will be a bit of a differential. Whether or not Salah's worth the money along with Mane, because obviously you can only captain one, is a different story. Now, Man City's fixtures are pretty good, but once the double game week hits and after that, they do get a bit more tricky. And I know Kevin De Bruyne is fixture-proof, etc., but you'd think his points would be limited in those tougher games more than in the easier fixtures. And obviously with Salah having great fixtures, it could be an ideal time to have double Liverpool attack. So I'm not fully deciding on what I want to do there, whether I want to go double defence or double attack. The fact they've just got 4 clean sheets in a row does make me think defence is probably the way to go, especially as I can only captain one. Would I like that to be Salah? Maybe, but as I've said before in the last couple of weeks, the grass is always greener, and Mane has still done well, as he showed this week. So Kevin De Bruyne stays for sure. Obviously, one thing we've got to consider is there could be rotation this week for any players that didn't get rotated last week. Obviously, it's another quick turnaround, not as quick as last game week, but there is potential for resting. I think with De Bruyne, he will probably play because it's an FA Cup break after that, and obviously some players will play in that as well. But Man City have Port Vale, I think it's at home as well. So I don't think they're going to need De Bruyne for that game. So that's when he's going to get his rest, I would assume, and he's going to play in the next game. Liverpool got a tougher fixture. Everton, again, I think that's at home as well. But it's the FA Cup. They might prioritise the league, Champions League, in which case they may rest the likes of Mane and Salah in that game as well. And we saw them beat Everton, albeit a different Everton under Marco Silva earlier, with a bit of rotation as well. So I'm not too concerned about the players that I've got for rotation, but you never know. Mane's looking great. I know the stats are never as good as Salah's, but he always performs, always gets good chances. So I'm really happy to own him. He's not captain this week, but I may do it if I don't think he's going to get rotated. That's the reason I didn't captain him last week, because of rotation worries. Probably still got the same worries this week, but Sheffield United at home I think could be a decent fixture, but they don't concede too many goals, which is why it's not on him right now. Maddison is currently staying. Now, I know a lot of people are getting kind of cold feet about Maddison. In fact, I see a lot of owners thinking about getting rid and a lot of non-owners thinking about bringing him in. And I think, even though he's only had one shot in the box in the last 4 game weeks, no points either, you have to look at the kind of bigger picture of what happened in the last 4 weeks. So Norwich at home, fair enough, he blanked, not good. But then he played Liverpool and City, and I didn't expect too many points from those games. I would have been happy for one attack and return. Then you keep him for the last game, and then he gets rotated because it's Christmas, etc. I don't think you can kind of blame him for that. So the last 4 game weeks look really poor points-wise, but there's kind of circumstances to why that's happened. Going forward, Leicester's fixtures are good. He's had a rest, Vardy's had a rest, the whole team's pretty much had a rest. So they'll be looking good against Newcastle, and then the fixtures are pretty good. And he has been fairly consistent when he's played consistently against kind of weaker opposition that aren't Liverpool or Man City, which, to be fair, Leicester kind of got absolutely smashed by both of them, especially Liverpool. They didn't really give them a chance at all. So I'm still happy with him going forward. Dele Alli, Southampton away. I want to keep him. I actually thought the game where he scored didn't look great. The last game against Norwich, I thought he looked better, but didn't get any points, which is, as I said, really annoying because I kept him. Now, I'm actually thinking of transfer him now. Because I've got 2 free transfers, I don't have the luxury to burn one. I've got to think about how I'm getting my Liverpool players in. So I'm potentially taking Ali out this week, even though he's got Southampton away. Martial is obviously the key one to think about, and he's the one that I want, but he makes getting into two more Liverpool players a little bit more tricky. So I could do Ali to Martial, for example, and then Lundstram or Aurier to Trent Alexander-Arnold, but then I've got to make up 0.2 million somewhere. So I could do Rico to like a Brandon Williams, even if he's not going to play. Obviously, he gives me the money to do that. Or I go Ali to Traore, Domagoj Traore at Wolves, who I'm not the biggest fan of, but I think I have to change my opinion. He's looked much better. He's now playing obviously in the right in midfield rather than playing wing back, which he did earlier in the season. And it's generally looked pretty good. And had a rest against Liverpool as well. So if I did Ali to him, I can easily get Robertson and Trent Alexander-Arnold in for Aurier and Lundstram and just be done. Take a -4, get my 3 Liverpool players, go with just one attacker, and go from there. But that's the transfers that I'm kind of looking at. I think Ali will be the scapegoat this week just because I have to make a transfer. I could do something passive like downgrade Rico or Lundstram or Aurier, whoever it might be, get some money and reassess next week. But I think I need to be a bit more aggressive than that. So Ali will probably leave for me this week, even though I think that's a good fixture for him. Up front, it's kind of as you were. Danny Ings continues to impress. Yes, it's Spurs, but obviously they've not looked defensively sound, which is why I'm not massively concerned about keeping Aurier at the moment. So happy to play Ings in that game. Vardy's captain, he's had a full rest. I know we're all picturing the baby celebration when he scores against Newcastle, having just had another kid. So captaincy's currently on him because he's had a massive rest, basically. But I am tempted to put it back on Rashford again. I think Rashford on penalties, potentially Pogba might play. I think I've kind of given up worrying about whether that's going to happen or not. But he's on penalties. At some point, Rashford's going to get some easy points. They're going to get a penalty. He's going to nick another goal somewhere, and he's going to get a double-figure haul. Why not against Arsenal on the counter? Obviously, Arteta's there now. I don't think, if it was Emery, it might be a little bit easier to make that decision. But it's something I'm considering. I know most people are going to go Vardy. I need to do something different at some point. So I may just put the armband back on Rashford after it's been on him the last 2 game weeks. So we'll make it 3 in a row against Arsenal. In general, this is what my long-term thinking is with Liverpool, and it's quite difficult to explain in the video without kind of chopping and changing everything. But Ali to Martial could be just a single move I make, and I go without a Liverpool defender this week. Now that is a bit worrying against Sheffield United at home. I'm just hoping for a bit of rotation there. But essentially, it all comes down to whether I want to do Rashford to someone like Calvert or Lewin or Morpay in a few game weeks' time. So if we do Ali to Martial now, I need some money to fund the 2 Liverpool players. So I could do Rashford down to, like I said, Morpay or Calvert-Lewin. That would give me enough money to do it. But do I really want to get rid of him when he's been in such good form on penalty? He's got the same fixtures as Martial. I know he's a bit more expensive, but he's already in my team. So perhaps I just don't go with Martial. I don't double on Man United attack, and I get Traore in instead. And I can't believe I'm saying that, but he does make things a lot easier. And I have to have triple Liverpool for the double game week. Everyone else will have them. And obviously they're looking great, 4 clean sheets in a row, still scoring goals, although not as many as before. Maybe they will start grinding out 1 or 2 wins now. At the end of the day, wins are all that matters. At this point, they're so far ahead, they just don't want to let it slip. So there's lots to think about with my team this week. I have to make a transfer. It'll probably be Ali to Martial or Traore. And I probably will bring in a Liverpool defender or 2 this week because I kind of just want to get it done. It's a good fixture this week. It's a good potential for a clean sheet and maybe some attacking returns as well. So even if I take a hit to get Robertson and Trent in, they could repay it straight away. Now there is obviously talk about maybe getting Gomez. He's a bit cheaper. Obviously he looks like he's got that place secure now next to Van Dijk. He's only 5.1 million. Obviously it makes it a lot easier to get him in, but I really think for a double game week and the fixtures they've got after, which are incredible, I want the proper players, which no disrespect to Gomez, of course, but Robertson and Trent Alexander-Arnold are where the points are at, so they're the 2 I'll go for. So captaincy on Vardy, might switch to Rashford, Traore or Martial in for Ali. I don't really want to lose him. If you've got him, I wouldn't be panicking about getting rid. But he's kind of the key to my longer term plans. So that's it for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to give it a like. Much appreciated as always. Obviously subscribe if you're new around here. Hit that notification bell. I know the transfers aren't locked in. I know a lot of people want to see me lock the transfers in before I make this video, but obviously I tend to try and leave my transfers as long as possible to get as much info and stuff. So you can't do this video, edit it and upload it within like kind of 10 minutes of the deadline because it'd be absolutely useless then. So kind of talking through my thought process instead. And like I said, not fully sure on captaincy and transfers yet, but I know Ali's going to go. It's just whether or not I bring in the Liverpool defender this week or not. I probably will because I got a feeling they're going to punish me again against Sheffield United at home. But I'll leave it there. Leave me any comments below you've got about the team, what you think I should do and all that stuff as well. And if you haven't already tried out OneFootball, it's completely free. Go and give it a go right now. Link in the description below, or search for OneFootball on Android, iOS stores. Otherwise, I'll leave it there. Like, comment, share, subscribe, all of that good stuff. Catch you next time.